What's up, guys? This is Boondocks, and today I'm going to be showing my Siren build. This one, not as comfortable with as some of my other characters like my Gunzerker, my Psycho, or even my Axton, though the Axton one is pretty cheap. Basically, on my Siren, I went down the Cataclysm tree most of the way just to get to Wreck, because though Wreck is definitely a lot weaker in OP8, it still has that massive slag ability. And it also has that grip. And really, that's all I'm looking for, is a way to slag multiple enemies. And it works pretty well. So, for Cataclysm, I have Foresight just for the mag size and the reload speed. I have Immolate for when I get downed. Put 1 point in the Flicker, 1 in the Helios, 1 in Backdraft, and 1 in the Blight Phoenix, mostly as throwaway skills. Same with Cloud Kill. Chain Reaction, a lot of people hate on Chain Reaction on the forums. I actually enjoy it. All you have to do is shoot the guy that you have phase locked, and it bounces to everybody else. Sure, you don't always have the chance to phase lock enemies, but most of the time you do. So, as far as mobbing goes, it's the way to go. Reaper, I actually really like Reaper just because that bonus damage right off the rip. One of my other builds I used to run had 10-5 in Reaper, and it gave 80%, and that just decimated enemies, but then your damage slowed right down. So I kind of moved away from that. Over here, I have, in Harmony, my extra crit damage, which honestly isn't as effective as I might like it. But I put 5 points in there just for when I do crit, especially if I'm using the Sandhawk. Sweet Release, that's actually my healing ability, because I'm going to be phase locking almost constantly. During boss fights, though, it can run into some problems. Wreck is pretty much self-explanatory. It's one of the best abilities that Sirens have, which is why a lot of people go for class mods that have 10-5 in it, just so that way you get a 60% damage increase. 60% damage increase whenever you have a phase locked enemy, that's pretty drastic. But I run a class mod to give myself cooldown reduction. I'll show you why a bit later. Last one, Res. Though right now I'm going to be soloing, I like to party up a lot, and I don't want to have to switch out my skills all the time. So I just put 1 point in a res. It's only 1 point, and it doesn't affect me that much. Then I have Ward. Really, the capacity, it's nice, but the main thing is that recharge delay. Because I B-Hawk. That's right. I'm sorry. I know it's a noob move, and it's not very interesting, but B-Hawking is obviously effective. And with Ward, that delay is what makes it possible even when you're just soloing, because all you have to do is drop back for only like 2 seconds and your shield will be fully recharged. Accelerate, just for the gun damage, and there's not that many other places to put the points. Suspension increases your phase lock, which works well when you want to use Wreck along with it. And then Converge. Converge is the main reason that this build works, because when you converge along with Ruin, Converge and Ruin slags massive numbers of enemies. And then Quicken, because I'm trying to go for the lowest cooldown. So then we look at my items. I have my Interfacer, and I also have a Corrosive Interfacer and Electric Interfacer as needed. But really, fire damage is typically what you want to use, because most mobs are fleshy targets. I then have my Corrosive Sandhawk and my Fire Sandhawk. Those will give you the most damage when using the B. I also have an Electric Sandhawk, but not as necessary with this build. The Corrosive Sandhawk I keep in my inventory because even in areas with mostly fleshy characters, you'll still run into an armored one every once in a while. Then, of course, I have a Norfleet, just to get myself some second wins if and when I go down, which is entirely possible because the B doesn't give you that much protection. It's all about doing damage before you get killed. Sometimes it doesn't work out great. And then there it is, the B. Everyone knows about the B, and it's ridiculous amp damage. I mean, look at that. Plus 1 million damage just for each shot. And then you look at the Sandhawk, and the Sandhawk, each shot splits out, so you're doing multiple millions each time. The tricky thing, though, is if your B goes down, your Sandhawk damage drops way off. Then have a homing Stormfront on. I usually try to change that out for a Chain Lightning for dropping shields, or sometimes the homing Pandemic. The reason I switch out for Chain Lightning is homing Stormfront will puts those little grenades on the ground, and then you can't enter that area until the grenades explode, because with the weakness of the B, the shield capacity being so low, if you're near one of the grenades when they explode, you're going to get downed. And a lot of the times you move into the area after enemies are away, and then you can't get back up. Then I use a legendary Siren mod. The reason I do this is because of the cooldown reduction. The gun damage is also pretty nice, and it plays into all my other abilities. And it also has the passive movement speed buff of 45% while using Phase Lock. Bone of the Ancients, again, cooldown reduction, and fire damage. And of course, you're also going to want to take other Bones of the Ancients depending on the areas that you're in. I have Maliwan relics as well for another build that I like to run, where I'm just using elemental damage and plasma casters. So, let's give her a quick run. I also didn't mention, I like to take Fleet, partly because if I'm trying to get back out of an area, I'll quickly switch this out for Rough Rider and switch out my Siren class mod for Breakneck Banshee. And that lets me, get back to where I want, teleport out of areas. So, here we go. Pick your target and just look at him drop. And right away my Phase Lock is up again and down. Some people will ask why I don't go for, oh man, I can't remember the name of it, why I don't go for Subsequence. Because Subsequence, when you max it out, it has a 100% chance to try to find another target. So yes, that would mean that my Phase Lock would be up longer, so I'd be able to do more damage with Wreck, and I'd be spreading it around more, getting more runes off, as well as more converges, pulling in the enemies and keeping them grouped longer. The issue is, in areas that are pretty cluttered with barriers, boxes, and that type of thing, sometimes your Phase Lock won't bounce properly. It'll get stuck on edges. It should be able to go through walls, but sadly it doesn't, and you lose a lot of it. So my philosophy is, the faster it's up, the faster you're going to be able to lock out another target and slag everybody. And with this stuck on a wall, you're doing nothing. And in fact, your recharge is stuck until it expires. So that's why I don't use it. And of course, bee hawking. Very, very cheap, but very effective. I don't know why I'm having like frame per second lag right here, but whatever, I can still show the general use of the build even with it slowing down a little bit. Unlike a lot of my other builds that are a lot more in your face, this one you have to play smart, because if you just rush out there, you're going to take hits, and then your shield's going to come down, and you're not going to be able to bee-hawk nearly as well. So because of that, I like to sit back and pick off enemies from a distance. but because of the distance and the fact that Firehawks or Sandhawks don't have a very good zoom on it, it's hard to get those critical shots. So kind of those bonus points in the critical damage, they are a little bit wasted. But it's pretty difficult to get any other bonuses as a Siren without advancing farther into trees. Right there. Took a hit. Not a big deal because of having him phase locked. My wreck was still able to finish him off, no problem. Wow, this lag is kind of throwing me.
That was awesome!
This is the first time it's ever lagged like this, honestly.
You stop.
Boom, right like that. One chain lightning. And if you noticed, all I did was shoot the badass that I had phase locked. And I still don't understand why people don't like Ricochet. It gives you so much. All I did was shoot the badass, and because I hit him with so many bullets in a burst, some of them bounced over to that other enemy and killed both of them. Which is why you always want to phase lock your big target, so that way they take the most damage and get removed from the equation. And then the damage will typically bounce to enemies anyway, and you'll be able to finish them all off no problem.
Enough.
Okay, now the armor lunatic is going to be coming at me, but that's why I have my corrosive Sandhawk as well. Plus, oh shit, surprise, bitch! Oh man, he got me. This is why I hate armored targets. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. If anyone hasn't watched my Axton build, you can see right there the difference. When Axton's down, you can still reload ridiculously fast. Whereas Maya, who does have fast reload times, you lose them as soon as you get downed.
You stop. You won't enjoy this.
I also don't know why my game does that. Sometimes when I'm running, when I come to a stop, it'll randomly fire. I don't quite understand why that happens. It doesn't really bother me. Like right there, it just fired again for no apparent reason. This build is definitely more effective when you're playing with other people, so that way they can take the aggro off of you and make it so that the enemies focus them, and then you can just burst them down from long range. I find a nice Krieg or a Gunzerker will take so much enemy animosity that you can pretty easily kill all of them without ever getting targeted yourself.
Shut up.
The interfacer doesn't get as crazy buffs from the B like the Sandhawk does, but I still just like using it against certain enemies, especially flyers, because of the spread damage on it, coupled with the fact that it has such a fast reload, the area of effect damage, and the fact that it's actually splits and then recombines. Those splits are bonus bullets, so you can still get the benefit from the B.
Silence.
It's just not as effective as, say, the Sandhawk is. Right now, I really need to phase lock someone and burst them down, so that way I can get my healing back up.
Stop
So,
struggling.
right here,
Go.
and boom. And I got my little incoming healing. And dead. It's playing B-Hawk with Maya, it's kind of rinse and repeat. Just move into an area, phase lock enemies, burst them down, step away so that way you don't take hits. Wait for your recharge, and do it all over again. I honestly think that guy that was just shooting at me jumped in the fucking whirlpool. I didn't see it happen, but he disappeared for no apparent reason. I'm pretty sure he jumped in the whirlpool like a friggin' idiot. You gotta love the enemy AI. It's clearly the smartest. If anyone's curious as to like tricky AI that's in a game that's slightly similar than this, try playing Warface sometime. I think it's more difficult mostly because of the fact that you don't have as much control over what you do. You have limited ammo supply. But the enemies are spread out, similar to how they are here, where they're just all over in an area. I don't know why the fuck I let that hit me. Probably because I was talking. But they're all spread out in an area similar to this. They all run all over the place, trying to kill you. It's pretty similar, but then does a whole lot more. Anyway, hope you guys like the build. Have fun. Good luck.